There have been a shitload of Mario games over the years, with numerous spin-offs and even a handful of co-starring appearances in games outside of the Mario universe. An example of one of those special appearances is Dr. Mario, released in 1990. It's a tile-matching puzzle game similar to the vein of Tetris. In this case, you're dropping pills into a jar of viruses. As the pills drop, you have to maneuver them in position so the color of the pill lands on a virus of the same color. They're either red, blue, or yellow. Each pill has two pieces. Sometimes they're the same color, and sometimes they're two of the three different colors. So you'll have to press A and B to rotate them around and place them where you like. Once you get 4 matching colors in a row, vertically or once in a while horizontally, all of those pieces, including the virus if necessary, will be wiped out. When you get rid of all the viruses in the jar, you'll move on to the next level. The differences between the levels are the amount of viruses in the jar, which naturally increases at each level. You can pick beforehand which level you start on in case the early levels are too easy, which they are, and you can also adjust the speed that the pills drop between 3 different settings, so you've got some tweaking options at your disposal. You lose when the pile reaches the top and there's no room for a new one. There's also a 2-player head-to-head mode, which gives you more incentive to finish faster than a 1-player game would, and it can make for some fun battles and give you some replay value. Aside from the gameplay options, you can also pick from one of 2 songs. Both of them are pretty decent tunes, but 2 songs is not a lot of variety, and you can't switch off between levels unless you die first. So while you're on your run, you're hearing the same song for each level. I never really like to hear the same song all throughout a game, so I usually just put on my own music. No intention here for a medical pun, but the game is pretty addicting. There's a lot running through your head as you pile pills one atop the other, not just matching the right colors with the virus, but also where the other half of that pill is going and whether or not it's going to start stacking problems later on. You'll oftentimes end up with the priority of taking out a stack of useless capsules before worrying about the viruses. It's always a good idea to watch the pill that Mario has in his hand that's on its way next. Then look out on the board for where that should go while you're placing the active pill. And don't press down to activate the quick drop once you make your decision on where you're putting the pill. Worry about what you're going to do next. Be a step ahead of the game. The later levels do get insanely difficult. It eventually gets to the point where the viruses are piled up so high that you pretty much have to run a very specific sequence on where you place the pills. And although the controls are good, they can be just a little bit slippery, and it makes it fairly easy to line up a pill incorrectly by one slot when you have hardly any time to react. After every 5 levels, you'll get a congratulations for hitting that particular milestone with the screen of the 3 viruses chilling on top of a tree as something different flies overhead each time you hit a new milestone. It's certainly not the best ending / congratulations screen of all time, but I've seen worse. Ghostbusters, Super Pitfall, Rampage. Dr. Mario is definitely not a part in Super Mario canon. I mean, who ever heard of a plumber that has enough time to save his kingdom constantly, and at the same time have enough time to go to med school and get a PhD? But then again, you could counter-argue this by saying that it's obvious that Mario doesn't know what the fuck he's doing when it comes to being a doctor. It looks like he's just sporadically tossing pills in a jar and hoping for the best. It's not like he's choosing the colors based on which ones are needed at the time. It's completely random. So Mario is incompetent when it comes to the medical field. And then you could say that because of his heroics, the Mushroom Kingdom awarded him with the title of Dr. Mario as an honorary promotion for saving their asses countless times. Well, whatever, I'm not judge and jury on this case. So, overanalyzation aside, that's Dr. Mario. Given the year of its release, you can definitely tell that the popularity of Tetris certainly led to some borrowing of a successful formula, and using an iconic character like Mario to give it some promotional credibility, seeing as how they could have used anyone to play the doctor role and it wouldn't have made a difference in the game. Given these facts, you'd think that this would be an unoriginal letdown, but that's certainly not the case. It won't win any awards for originality, but it definitely does enough to stand out as its own game without being classified as a clone. And that wraps up this edition of Aqualung's Game Reviews. See you next time.